But first, the family of a man seriously assaulted in 2015 who died at the beginning of this year are calling on the government to repeal or amend Section 162 of the Crimes Act, which says, and I quote, "No one is criminally responsible for the killing of another unless the death takes place within a year and a day after the cause of death." Now, George Siaosi was punched, king hit, is a phrase his family rejects because they say there's nothing kingly about it. In September 2015, the youth worker fell down some stairs and hit his head violently on concrete at the bottom. Emergency surgery saved his life. But despite the best efforts of his doctors, carers, his family and George's own fight for his life, he died at the beginning of this year. Under Section 162 and its 1 year and 1 day provision, no charges could be laid relating to his death. His family says that seems arbitrary and unfair. They believe the law must provide discretion in the case of deaths that follow more than a year and a day on. His mother, Sandra Gray, tells us what happened on the night after George and his assailant had both left a nightclub where they'd had a verbal altercation.
George was going to Dennys to celebrate a birthday party with friends, and he was followed. He was deliberately followed.
And his assailant walked up to him and without any warning, without any sense that George knew it was coming, he just hit him really hard.
Yes, more than once. And it wasn't just him. He had friends with him, so, you know, is that being a king? No, he took his friends with him as well.
And George's assailant, and this is very important, the facts aren't in dispute, George's assailant pleaded guilty, didn't he, to wounding with intent?
Yes.
He was convicted of it. He was ordered to serve 12 months home detention, which is the maximum sentence for wounding with intent, 300 hours community work, and he was ordered to pay a form of reparation of $1,000.
Yes.
So it's not in dispute that these are the facts and this occurred and that the assailant was guilty of a criminal act.
Yes.
But it's what happened next that is so upsetting for the family, because George survived for a period and then terribly he died, right?
Yeah, he did. He more than survived. He struggled. He fought all the time to stay with us. He fought for himself, for his friends, for his family, everyone. But his body just wore out.
When you say he fought, what did he do?
He went on a journey, and a really emotional journey. Every emotion that, you know, that we know, he went through it. He went through sadness, despair, his whole aim and what he was doing, what he was fighting for, was to come home.
And to get better, right? Because he had a stroke.
To get better and come home.
So he needed a whole lot of rehabilitation. He effectively needed to learn how to be himself again, didn't he? He needed to learn how to walk and talk and all of it. And he worked terribly hard at that, didn't he?
He did. He did really hard. We were so proud of him. So proud of him. He fought all the way.
And then what happened? Just quite out of the blue, did you have any sense that George was going to die?
Not at all. And initially, at all the points that he went into hospital, because he was in and out of hospital, it concerned me. I thought, oh, you know, am I going to lose my boy? And no, I didn't have those times. But I thought he was fighting so hard for himself to live that he would achieve it. Because even in the life before, he was a fighter, you know, for what he believed in, everything, in every way. So I thought he'd succeed this fight.
So when did you lose George?
On the 4th of January.
And the assault was in September 2015?
That's right.
And under section 162 of the Crimes Act, after what period can you not be charged with causing someone's death?
1 year and 1 day.
So if George had died within 1 year and 1 day, his assailant would have been charged with some crime that involved causing George's death, potentially even manslaughter.
Yes, I believe so. I hope so.
But because 1 year and 1 day had elapsed, there was nothing.
Yeah, and it's a total insult to my son for those before him in the same situation. It's an insult.
Did anyone call to explain this to you? Did anyone call to explain that
No.
Boya couldn't be charged?
No. That was the first thing I thought of after George's burial. So what happens now? Does he go back to court and under a different charge? And I was told no, because there's a rule of 1 year and 1 day. I'd never heard of it before. Nobody had told me before that.
And who told you?
Melissa did.
And who's Melissa?
She's George's fiancée.
Right. So George's fiancée had to tell you that George's assailant was not going to be charged with anything further, despite the fact George had died.
That's right.
Where is George's assailant now? Where is Boya now?
I wouldn't have a clue. I don't know. Actually, during George's time, I've deliberately chosen not to let him occupy my mind. I never went to the court cases. I never looked at the newspaper, because to me he wasn't worth taking up space in my mind. And the time that he was in court, I'd rather be with my son.
What would you like to see happen as George's mum? What is the one thing you would like to see changed?
The 1 year, 1 day will thrown out, preferably. If not amended, thrown out. I'm here to speak on my son's behalf. It's one of the last things I can do for him, and I need to do it. I need to speak for him. Not only him, but mainly him, but the people before and the people yet to come, the families, the victims. Yeah, that's why I'm here.
That's Sandra Gray, the mother of George Siaosi. This afternoon we went to the office of the Minister of Justice, Amy Adams, and the Minister replied, "This isn't an issue that's been raised with me before now. I think it is worth reviewing the way Section 162 of the Crimes Act works. I've asked my justice officials for advice and they will report back to me in due course." So the Minister is seeking advice on this. We'll report back once we hear what officials have told her.